Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Daymaster quality. This isn't the overall chart quality or balance or anything like this. This is particularly talking about your Daymaster. And it is a long one, so buckle up. Now, it is said that the better the quality of your Daymaster, the easier it is for you to be successful. This seems to be the key factor, and I actually had to buy a class to understand this because this is not even clear in the Chinese language websites. And also, since there's not many tables involved, it's very hard to read it in English, just having Google Translate. So I decided to take a not terribly expensive class. Now, this doesn't mean if the quality is not high that you have no chance for success. What it means is you have to work harder. And that's just the way it is. I'm sure that many of you may not think that this is fair, but that's the way it is, and complaining about it never makes things better. So the key here is that I'm hoping once you finish all this, you'll be able to see what skill you might need to pick up to increase your chances of having a successful career. I mean, this is mostly about money and earning money. Now, what you will see here is I'm going to be listing your Daymaster, well, every Daymaster, and what elements and what other entities or conditions that each one of these Daymasters need to have a high quality. And some of the stuff is not so easy to deal with because it just has to do with your time of birth and it's what it is. But it may be that your chart, your particular Daymaster, needs a certain element that is not in your chart. And if you were to have it, you would have a better quality chart. Well, that means you have to pick up the skills of that missing element to be able to improve the quality of your chart, not on paper, but in reality. And that's what this whole thing is all about. It does take work. It's not likely to be a lot of fun because this is not normally part of how you live your life, but the results are worth it. And this is why it's worth it to take this effort. So each Daymaster has a list of required elements and some other requirements. And these elements and the other requirements aren't hard to determine because you just simply look at your chart. And you're not looking necessarily for combinations and all this kind of stuff. You're just looking at your your 4 pillars, the 8 characters. And each Daymaster has a different set of requirements. And if you can meet all these requirements, you have a high quality Daymaster. That's what they call it. Now, when you watch this video, you should note what you need and what you have, and note if you're missing anything. And once you have that, then you can go on to the next step. Usually having any of the required elements, and most Daymasters need several elements, it's better than having none. So if you need 5 elements or 4 elements, some of them have that many, but you only have 3 or 2, that's still better than having none. If you have none, you've got a very unbalanced chart. Most of the time, except for example, if a Daymaster only needs 1 element, well, then that's like a 50-50 chance maybe. So it depends on the Daymaster how likely you are to have something. But if you have anything, it's better than nothing. But if you are actually missing a key element, and here basically there's no half elements, it's either you have it or you don't. You want to look at the natural skills of the Daymaster that has the element that you need, that is if let's say you need to have Bing fire, when you go through this, you see it says your chart needs, your day master needs Bing fire and you don't have it. You're going to go back to the previous video, the one that talked about day master properties, and see what the skills of the Bing day master is. And you usually will be able to detect which thing you need. And when you have that, when you gain that skill, on paper, you may still not have that element, but in reality, in how you deal with life, you do have it, and that's the key. This will help you fill in the skill gaps that you need to allow you to succeed more easily. Now, you do need to know if your day master is rooted, and I have a video about rooting, and so you can watch that if you need to, but I do discuss it here. And you also have to know if your day master is strong or weak by season. Not the overall chart, but your day master. And I have discussed this before, and you've seen this table before. So what you will do is you'll look at your BATSA, look at what animal you have listed, and then you'll find out what your day master is here. So for example, if you were born in the month of the monkey and you have metal as a day master, then you're very strong. If you have water, you're strong. If you have earth, you're weak. Fire, you're very weak. And wood, you're exhausted, which means extraordinarily weak. And some people call the very strong as prosperous. There are actually very many different names in English. So I just tried to give the most comprehensive or the most straightforward definition of the energies. And if you want to watch the video about rooting, this is the title of my video. So you can watch that if you need to. But I do show some examples in here, and you may be able to understand just by watching this. So if you're lucky and if you're unlucky that you're missing something, but lucky that your current luck pillar or your next luck pillar has that element that you need, this can be a real big advantage. Now, if that next coming luck pillar is still more than 5 years away, you just have to fill that gap in now. 5 years is too long, especially in period 9 when things are changing so fast. So if that relevant pillar starts next year, next one, then you need to start the prep work now. If it is your current luck pillar, you need to start learning the skills today. Right now, it's the time to really work on it, because unless you're just at the very start of your current luck pillar, you're going to need every single second to work on that thing that you're missing. Now, if the relevant luck pillar that you need is already past or is very far in the future, you need to learn how to acquire the skills that your weak or missing element naturally exhibits, so that you can fill in your chart. Basically, that's what you're doing. You're filling in your skills, and that gives you the same quality as somebody else who has it naturally. I want to make sure that you understand this. When we say that the day master must be strong, we're talking about it by the strength of season, not the overall chart strength, which I've already talked about. This can be a little confusing. You want to use that table like on a slide ago. So we'll start with yang wood. Here are its requirements. It must be strong. So that means that you must be born in the month of the pig, rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, or dragon. So that's half the year. That's not too bad. You also have to be rooted. It is best if the yang wood can show up in the main chi of the hidden stem of the day pillar. That's the strongest one. But you can be rooted, not quite as strongly, but in either by yang or yin wood in your other pillars. And this is, of course, in the hidden stem. It has to be at the bottom, the third row of your batsa. So it's still good to have it. And if you don't have it, there's not a whole lot you can do about this, except try to be more consistent. And because rooting gives, it's like a tree rooted. It won't blow over so easily. So if you're not rooted, you're not as stable. And so this is something you have to work on. So here's an example, like the strongest example. In fact, it's the only one that is like 100% meets this goal. And this is a Yangwood tiger. It has the Yangwood in the main chi of the hidden stem. And this is the only day master that has this, or the day pillar that has this. However, there's a lot of other ways to get it. We have yin wood in a wood dragon. This is wood dragon. So that isn't as good, but at least it's in the day stem. And again, I'm not going to go through everything because there are quite a few of these that have either yin or yang wood. You just have to see what you have. And your batsa from Joey Yap, from almost everywhere, will tell you what your hidden stems are. And most of them will also put it in English. And for the hidden stems, it'll be plus for yang and minus for yin. So you'll still be able to tell what you have, even if you can't read the Chinese. Now, it also needs a pretty big list of things. It needs Bing, Ji, Gui, Gung, and Sin. And this is the one I think that needs the most. And so these all serve a purpose for a tree. I mean, this is what yang wood is usually represented as. So Bing represents the sun. So you need sunlight for a tree to grow. Ji is the soil. So we're not talking about the yang version of earth. We're talking about the yin version, so that the tree has a place where it can put its roots. Gui represents rain. And this gets a little bit tricky, but it does need the yang metal, the gung. And this is usually represented by an axe. So the idea is for a tree to be quote unquote useful, it needs to be cut down to either build a house or furniture, or to heat or give light to a house, which is what it was used for a lot in the past. But in reality, trees also have usefulness being alive. But as a tree reaches its natural lifespan, because trees have lifespans just like any other animal or any other living being, then that's the time to cut down the tree. Because if you decide to build a house or a piece of furniture with that wood, you're actually sequestering the carbon that that tree has absorbed. If you let it die naturally and fall down, all that carbon is ultimately released back into the atmosphere because the tree will decay. It wasn't a big deal a long time ago, but now, yes, we really do need to sequester more carbon. So we need to plant more trees. Now, the Sin, the yin metal, this represents pruning shears. And this is kind of more esoteric. Now, if you think about a tree in the forest, nobody ever prunes those guys. They just live and do their thing, and most of the time they're pretty healthy, unless some kind of invasive species of bug come in and spread a disease. But if you're talking about a tree that we use to feed ourselves, like a fruit tree, pruning them does make them healthier and makes them more productive, because what they produce is better quality. And it's not like they have to spend a lot of energy to a whole lot of fruits that never end up being very good or being very big, and instead they concentrate on just a few. So that does make some sense. But it only really makes sense for trees that we deliberately plant for food. Now, the one other thing is if you are missing Ding, the yin fire, that's actually better because it represents physical fire that burns trees. So if you have all of this and you're missing the Ding and you're rooted and you're strong, then you've got a perfect Yangwood Daymaster. Now, I'm assuming if you're watching me, you probably don't have everything. And if you, of course, are a Yangwood Daymaster. Otherwise, you'd be successful and you would have never got on the web to find anything out about this. Now, when a Yangwood Daymaster is missing an important element, it typically affects that person's ability to grow, that is, to learn and get better at their job. And so if that's the case, then we're going to look at the elements and see what might be missing. So if you're missing Bing, that usually means you need to improve your determination or perhaps your passion. Now, there are other things that Bing is really good at. And if you don't think you have a problem with this, you can go back and watch the video on the Daymaster properties to see if it's something else in that list for Bing, for the Bing Daymaster, what it's good at. See if that's listed there. But this is the more common ones. If you're missing the G, the yin, earth, it indicates that your roots are probably very shallow and the tree can fall over easily. So basically, this means you need to learn to be tougher, more resilient. And there are other things it could be, but this is almost always the problem. If you're missing the gui, the yin water, you need to become more flexible and adaptable. That is, I would say, 90+% of the time, that's what you need. And a yang wood, a tree, can be quite rigid, not terribly flexible. It's little, the smallest branches are flexible, but the whole tree is not very flexible. So this is maybe your problem if you are missing the yin water. If you're missing the gung, basically you need to work harder to learn and become more innovative or increase your perceptiveness, that is, understanding the nature of the problem so you can solve it. And gung is one of the elements that actually needs training to be good. And so it might be you're missing a certain piece of training in your time leading up to your career, that if you get that little piece, you actually become much better. And that allows you to be more innovative and understand why you couldn't do something before and now you can. I mean, it's learning something new that's kind of key here. And if you're missing the sin, basically this means you need to pay more attention to the details, because sin is a precise, very precise kind of Daymaster. They can be quite fussy and quite picky, but they really do things well. They're very precision oriented. Now, if you happen to have a kid that has a Yangwood as their Daymaster, when they're very young, you let them grow at their own pace. Once they get the basics down, that's when you can start to challenge them. But if you give them a lot of pressure when they're very young, that can actually hinder their ability to learn. And they have to figure out things for themselves, the very basic stuff. And once they have that down, then they can really progress. For a Yinwood Daymaster, this is what they need. They need to be strong, so it's born, the element will be the same as the yang wood. So pig, rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, or dragon months. If you're born there, automatically you're strong. If you also have to be rooted, and you can be rooted. So there's some disagreement about rooting, and it's the one that's most disagreed upon from what I have seen. Most masters say you only need yin wood somewhere in the, preferably, of course, in the main chi of the hidden stem. But others say you need both yin wood and yin earth. Or instead of that, you could have yang wood. And this is just by one practitioner. And of course, this is a practitioner who learned from somebody, but I don't know who that master is because that practitioner hasn't said. So this one is the outlier, but I'm going to show you both because I'm not sure who's right. Of course, you can also be rooted in other pillars, hidden stems with either the yin or the yang wood. That's also, it's a weaker thing, but it's still better than nothing. So the example of a fully rooted by most masters is the wood rabbit. And it has only one hidden stem, and it's going to be the main one because there's only one. And it's, just like a tree with roots, complete. Now, the one who says it needs both the yin wood and the yin earth says it has to be the wood goat because it has both. And even though this is a sub-chi, it's at least in the same pillar. Again, I don't know who's right. I would assume both of these are pretty good. Now, you could also have a wood pig because you have, as a sub-chi, you still have the yang wood. So those are three that are possible. Now, this, of course, it's a living thing, so it does need Bing, the sun. It needs earth. It needs water. And it also needs the yin metal. So, of course, the Bing is the sun. It's a living thing. It has to have some energy to grow. The soil has to have some place to grow in. And the water is also an absolute requirement for a plant. And the sin represents pruning shears or harvesting tools. And that does make some sense. Now, many people who talk about the yin wood daymaster will represent it as a flower. But that is really a small minority of plants. Most plants don't have flowers that we consider beautiful. Many have flowers we don't recognize as flowers, and there are some that have no flowers. So this can be any type of smaller plant or a shrub without a significant trunk. So it is incorrect to just describe it as a flower. So the food we eat, a lot of it comes from this type of plant, a yin wood plant, we do get some food from trees, but the majority of the food actually comes from plants, either directly or indirectly. Now, when a yin wood daymaster is missing an important element, they need to acquire the natural skills of that element. So if it's missing big, same thing. Basically, it tends to need to improve the determination or passion. If they're missing ji, they need to learn to be more resilient. If they're missing gui, they need to become more flexible or adaptable. And if they're missing sin, they need to pay more attention to details. Now, if you've been watching me, you know I am a yin wood daymaster. And the only thing I'm missing is Bing. Now, I don't think I am missing any of the properties that Bing has, except perhaps charisma. That's one of the one of the things that Bing does have. Everything else that's listed under what Bing is good at, I feel like I already have. And it's kind of, I'm wondering where I acquired it from. But I have said on more than one occasion, to receive a PhD, even if you're talking about a physics PhD, it takes more determination than intelligence. Of course, if you have more intelligence, it's a little easier. But even if you're quite intelligent, it is a lot of work. And there's a certain point where you realize you have enough skills to do research. And you just rather start researching things and not have to write a whole dissertation, which is, 100 or more pages. It is a lot of work. So I don't think I lack determination. And I do think it must have come from my upbringing, but I did have a Bing in my first luck pillar in the sub-chi. So maybe really good upbringing and that Bing when I was very young somehow started all this. And again, once you acquire one of these skills, you don't lose it. You do have to keep using it so you don't forget things, but once you have it, you don't lose it. And that's why this is really important to add this skill in as early as you can, because then you can use it. For Yang fire, this is what they need. This is one of the unusual ones. The time of day is extremely important. The horse hour is the best because that's when the sun is the strongest. But being born while the sun is up is important. Now you can actually use the time and date sun calculator and find your birthday, click on that, and it will open up this thing that shows when the sun is above the horizon and when it's below. And you can actually put your mouse on it and just the cursor on it, I should say, and you can actually find your exact date of birth and you can see whether the sun is above the line or below the line. If it's below the line, that means it's night. If it's above, it's during the day. So you can know for sure whether or not the sun was up on the day you were born, at the time you were born. You also need to be strong, so that means born in the month of tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, or goat. Can be born in any of those. So it also must be rooted, which means either a bing or a ding in the hidden stem of the day pillar. So here's the only example of the one with a bing in, and this, it's better to be in the main chi, but a sub chi is okay too. At least it's in the same pillar. And this is a fire tiger. Now the horse has the bing as its main chi, so the fire horse also has it, and the dog has the ding in the sub chi. So they don't have, this is the only one with the bing. So the fire dog also would have this requirement. Now the snake does have the bing, the yang fire, in its main chi, but it's yin, so it has to be elsewhere. So you're never going to have a yang fire snake because the snake is yin. You can have a yin fire snake, a bing snake, but not a, a ding snake, but not a bing snake. So, but it would be okay if you have a snake somewhere else in your chart. That gives you something that you need. Now, it also needs to have Wu, that's yang earth. Now, Wu represents a mountain that's very, very stable. So this also helps to ground the rather wild energies of a Bing fire daymaster. They can be very energetic and very passionate and sometimes to the detriment of their health. So this gives them a little bit more stability, and that does help them a bit. Now, when a Bing daymaster is missing an important element, they need to acquire the natural skills of the element. Now, they're only missing one element, possibly, and that's the Wu. So this usually means they need to become more patient, sometimes more practical, and practical and grounded are pretty similar. That is, they They need to be a little more stable and not quite so over the top. There are a couple more things about the Bing Daymaster that you should know. If you have more than one of the Bings, that is more than one of the Yang fires, beyond the Daymaster, these individuals may lack perspective. So for them, traveling to new places, unfamiliar locations is recommended, or perhaps broadening their circle of friends so they have more input from different sources. Now, if you've never lived in a country or an area where you have days where after a large snowstorm that it doesn't have much wind, everything is white. And once the sun comes out, it is unbelievably bright. And there is something called snow blindness. And that's kind of what happens if you have more than one of the dings, especially bings. If you have this in your heaven stem, you've got on the top row, you have two. It is uh, basically you're blinded by the brightness, just like you do when you get snow blindness. So uh, this this is why you, if you can get new experiences, you you're actually broadening your perspective, and that like spreads out the light so that you can see better. I mean, it sounds a little bit weird, but it basically spreads the brightness over a broader range so that its intensity in any one spot is less. And so that helps you understand people better. And that always helps when you're trying to do anything with a career, unless you never see another person. Now, the daymaster born at night is a problem. That is, they may have skills, but everybody ignores them because you're shining on the other side. I mean, it's like you're shining on the other side of the planet. Nobody knows you're there. So one of the recommendations is you may want to move to a country that was in sunlight at the time that you were born. So you are effectively living in a place where you're more in sync with. And if you're born out of season, that is, if you're born in monkey, rooster, dog, pig, rat, or ox months, then if you move to a warmer climate, it warms up your chart. And I will at some point talk about this idea of hot and cold, wet and dry, that they also talk about that to qualify your overall chart. And that's still coming. I still have to learn a bit more about it before I can describe it in any detail. So we move on to the ding, the yin fire. This is, it needs a couple things. Again, the time of day is very important. It's best to be born at night when the flame of the yin fire can be seen. And again, you can use the time and date sun calculator to find out if you were truly born at night or during the day. The standard old version was 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's a day. 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. is the night. But we all know that doesn't really work. So with this innovation of the time and date, you can actually know whether or not you were born during the day or at night. Now, what it really needs, and it just needs two things, is both the yang and the yin wood. It needs something to burn. The yang wood burns slow, but it burns long. I mean, it's harder to get going, but once it gets going, it can burn a very long time. Whereas the yin wood burns very quick, but it can set the yang wood on fire. So that's why you need both. And this can be in the heaven stem or in the hidden stem. We don't care where it is. It needs to be strong, so it needs to be born in tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, or horse or goat months. Now it does also need to be rooted, and I do have this in basically in the order. So the time of day and the presence of the wood is more important than the strong and the rooted. So all of these are in the order of the importance. So it can be rooted either with yin or yang fire, and this can be in the hidden stem of the day pillar. That's the best place, but it can be elsewhere too. Now the strength of the roots is less important than the presence of the wood elements and the time of day. So this one isn't so bad if you're not rooted. So here's an example of a fire goat. This has the yin fire, and this is the closest one you can get. Now when a yin fire day master is missing one of the two important elements, of course you're going to have to acquire this. So if you're missing the yang wood, the jia, you need strength or growth. That is strength of purpose, strength of character, or strength of your moral code, or more likely you actually need to learn to take in new information, merge it with the old, and grow more overall. Now, if you're missing the yi, you're likely to need more adaptability or more vision. That is, you have to have more planning when you're going in to like solve a problem. Instead of just say, okay, I'm just going to do this, you have to see in your head where you're going. Now we can get on to the wu, the yang earth. It needs rooting. The dragon or the dog is the best, but it can be rooted with other pillars, and we're talking these would be yin your day pillars, or with the ji, the yin earth. It needs to be strong, born in the month of the snake, goat, or horse, and this is the only 3 months when earth is strong. So it is the most restrictive of the day masters. It also needs to have run the yang water, basically to create soil and to give it some sort of a boundary also. That is the difference between land and the ocean. So here are there are only 6 yang earth or yang earth pillars. And only the yang rat is not included here because that only has water. So all the rest of these, the dragon, the dog, the earth, the monkey, the horse, they all have the required element. Either the yang earth, these 2 are the best, then you've got the 2 in the sub-chi, and then you finally got the last yin version in the sub-chi. So this one is the easiest one to be rooted. So that is nice. The ox, the snake, and the goat have either the yin or yang version of this, but this has to be in other pillars because these are all yin animals, so they'll never show up here. So when a wu, a yang earth day master is missing an important element, it depends on what it's missing. If it's missing the run, it basically probably needs adaptability. Insightfulness, maybe, but adaptability is often its hard thing because this represents a mountain. It doesn't move. It is often quite stubborn. So it really does need the yang water. So when we look at yin earth, it needs to be rooted. The ox or goat is best, but it can be rooted in other pillars with the yang earth, but it still needs to see some yin earth. It can't be only that one to be good quality. The dragon, the dog, the tiger, the horse, and the monkey, which you just saw, will give you some level of rooting. But they're going to be, of course, in other pillars because this is yin and these guys are all yang. So here's the ox. This one is pretty good because it's in the main chi of the hidden stem of the ox. This is the goat. Again, it's in the main chi. Those two are the best. Now, the yang fire is one of the elements it needs, and this is to give it warmth. That is, the earth is fairly cold, and it's hard to grow plants in cold earth. So this is the whole point for G, is to actually grow things. And so we need the yang fire to give it warmth, but you don't want to have too much, so one is enough. If you have two, it may make the soil too dry in terms of the whole chart. It also, of course, needs yin water so plants can grow. And it needs both yin and yang metal. So this is the source of the minerals that nurture the plants. So that's why it's needed, because the whole purpose of yin earth is to grow things, to nurture things. Also, a yin earth day master needs a creative outlet to bring out their best, because then while they're doing this, they can come up with good ideas. It is a way to relax them and let their mind wander, which leads to good things for them. It leads them to understand things that they wouldn't understand otherwise. If they were just concentrating on it, they may miss it. But if they have a creative outlet, it will come to mind while they're doing that. So the strength of this day master does not appear to be important. So, but having a strong DM is usually pretty good. So if you were born in the snake, horse, or goat months, it probably is slightly better. So when a yin earth day master is missing, they tend to not to have the best ability to nurture others and to be creative. So it needs the Bing. So basically, it's going to usually be determination or passion is what you need to gain. If you're missing the yin water, you need to become more flexible and adaptable. And the yin earth day master is a lot more flexible than the yang earth day master, but it's still more stable than most of the other day masters. If it's missing the gung, again, you need to learn something so that you can become more innovative. And so it's usually you're missing something in your learning that will help you to do your job better. And if you're missing the sin, you need to pay more attention to details. So we've all seen this before. So we move on to the yang metal day master. It needs to be rooted, again, with either yang or yin metal in the day or in other pillars. The snake and the ox and the rooster, they all have what is needed, but these are all yin animals. So this would have to be in other pillars. But we have the metal monkey. It has the yang metal right where it belongs, right where it's the best, the strongest. So this is one of the strongest ones. We also have the metal dog. It's in the sub-chi and it's the opposite polarity, so it's a bit weaker. You also have to be strong by season, so that means being born in the monkey, rooster, or dog months. And you need to have a strong Bing, a ding. You need to have a strong yin fire. This allows a yang metal day master to be trained, to be shaped, because they don't necessarily want to do it on their own, but they're very good at being trained if you put the energy in. And you do need more than one yin fire in your chart to have this be strong. Otherwise, if you only have one, you're going to have to gain some of the properties of the yin fire. So strong typically will mean 2 or more of the ding in your natal chart. And it's really a great idea if one is in the hidden stem and one is in the heaven stem or 2 in the heaven stem. You know, the heaven stem is a little bit stronger, but 2 in the, it'd probably be better to have 3 in the hidden stem if that's the only place they are. But 2 is probably borderline, but you just have to work a little bit more. And this has to be strong so that metal can be shaped. And by shaped, that means trained. So it needs yin water, and this is to be tempered. Because if you work with metal, you know that metal has to be tempered to become less brittle. And that makes it more resilient. And yang wood gives it its purpose. It has something to do. Otherwise, it wanders around aimlessly. So when a yin metal daymaster is missing something, it basically affects the person's ability to learn the important skills that they need so that can improve their chances for success. If you're missing ding or low on ding in this case, you need to see more sides of the problem in order to be able to transfer the problem into a useful solution. So if you remember from the discussion on the yin fire daymaster, that is it's the only really transformative element for things here on earth. I mean, the sun does transform, but it really only transforms plants. But this can transform a lot of stuff, including burning down forests. I mean, it really can transform things. So if you're missing the yin water, you need to become more open-minded, usually more adaptable, basically be less rigid, because the yang metal daymaster has to be pushed to be trained. And they may not like it, but once they're trained, they become quite good at what they do. And so if this is your daymaster, you may not like learning, but once you learn, you really put that to good use. So that's why it's worth it to take this effort. And it's usually not very comfortable for a metal daymaster to do all this. They don't like it, but once they have it, they really use it. And if you're missing the ja, basically you want to learn new things, apply them to what you already know. This can make you have more purpose, make you know that you can take all this new stuff and apply it to what you're already working on. And so it gives you more energy to keep working. So now we go on to the yin metal daymaster. It does need rooting. And an example, the only real strong example is the metal rooster, because you have the yin metal in the main chi. But the dog and the ox also have yin metal in the sub chi, and the snake and the monkey have the yang metal. Now the monkey is yang, so it's not going to show up with the yin metal, but the snake and the ox can. The dog is also yang. It's not going to show up here. It's going to have to be in a different pillar. So the metal ox, here's where the yin metal is. So that's good. And this is the metal snake. And now this is the yang version. But it's actually still better if you can have it in your day pillar. But any type of rooting is better than none. It has to be strong by season. So born in monkey, rooster, or dog months. And it needs yang fire. This is one of the things it needs that allows the metal to shine, because this is more like a piece of jewelry. Now it needs yang water, basically to be noticed, that is to be uncovered from the soil. And it needs yin earth. Now, the combination of the water and the earth help polish the metal. That's one of the ideas. But you can't have too much earth, because if you have too much earth, the metal tends to stay buried or hidden. You just don't see it. And too much is more than one heaven stem or two hidden stems. Then you're getting to the point where that's probably too much. Now, how do you deal with that? Well, you basically add the more effects from water. So you're just balancing it. You're trying to wash away that yin earth by doing more things that yang water does, which is basically becoming more adaptable. So when a daymaster is missing an important element, it basically affects the ability of the person to be noticed and to exhibit their best qualities. And so this means that this is, kind of the purpose of a yin metal daymaster is to be showy and to show off and be noticed. So if they're missing Bing, basically you want to find a passion to allow yourself to be noticed. That is, if you become passionate about something, and perhaps now, especially with YouTube and everything, you can actually allow yourself to be noticed from being even in the middle of nowhere. As long as you have the internet, you can actually shine as a yin metal daymaster. You also need to run the yang water. And so here it's mostly becoming more adaptable. So don't just have one idea of how you're going to become famous, because that's pretty much one of the goals of a yin metal daymaster. You want to try different things, see what niche is good for you. And if you're missing G, you can find a creative outlet that will allow you to see new possibilities. Now, on the other hand, if you have too much of the G, too much of the yin earth, you want to add more of the water, because the water washes away the earth, and basically become even more adaptable. You may do things that you never thought you would do, but you end up being good at. So now we go on to yang water. It does need to be rooted, preferably by only just one other run, one other yang water in the hidden stems of any pillar. And it doesn't have to be in the day pillar, although if that's the one place it is, that's a little better, but you don't want more than one. So this is water monkey, this is yang, so it's going to have it. Now, if you don't have the monkey and you have something else that has no water, then we also have the ox and the pig. They have the yin and yang water, so you can have those instead, and it's still good. And it's okay to have just like the ox and maybe not the pig. The problem is when you have too much water in a yang water daymaster, things can get a little hairy. Now, there is another one that they can have, of course, is the water rat. This is the yin version. It's still water. This is okay. But too many of the run or the gui can make the daymaster too strong, and they can become a tyrant. That's it's like a tsunami. It's too much ocean, because that's what the yang water is often depicted as, is the ocean. You need to be strong by season, so that means monkey, rooster, dog, pig, rat, or ox months. That is the best months. Well, that's the months you need to be born in if you want to be strong by season. Now, you need yang earth. This is to give it boundaries. If there were no mountains, it would just all be water. Because you have to have something high enough because the water will collect where it's low. I hope that makes sense. It needs some yang wood to give it purpose. So when a run daymaster, yang water daymaster, is missing an important element, it basically makes them not very stable. And so they don't make headway in their chosen paths because usually they keep changing their paths. So this, so they need more stability. And if they're missing the yang earth, they need to become more patient and more dependable. So they have to practice these things and not be so quick to change. If they're missing the ja, again, you want to have them learn new things, combine them with the current knowledge. It allows them to grow, to become better. And when they can do this consistently, they're more likely to stay with their chosen path because they see they're making progress and things are changing. They're not stuck. I mean, that's often why any water day master, whether it's yin or yang, they like change, and so they don't want things to stay the same. So if they can keep learning, they can keep with their chosen career and actually make real headway and move up and get promoted. So here's the yin water. It does need to be rooted also. And this is a yin ox, a water ox. It has, in the subchi, it's rooted. Now the rat and the dragon have also have the goi, but these two are yang, so they're not going to show up like this. And the monkey has the run. So this is the other ways of getting it. Now the water pig also has water. It's not the same polarity, but it's in the main stem, so that's not too bad. So there are various ways that you can have this rooted. Again, they have to be strong by season. So monkey, rooster, dog, pig, rat, or ox months to be born in. And if you're not born in season, well, you're not born in season. There are ways to deal with this that have to do with balancing the chart between wet and dry and hot and cold, which will have to come later because I don't have a good handle on that yet. So they do need some yang water. That's the source for the clouds, which create the rain. So they need some yang water. They need some yang earth also because if you've ever lived next to mountains, you know that it rains a lot more in the mountains uh, because they create the uplift, and that allows basically makes the clouds cool, which makes the rain fall out because clouds are water vapor, and you have to condense it to make it rain. So when a yin water daymaster is missing an important element, it basically it changes their ability to adapt to new situations and change with the times. So if they're missing yang water, they need to learn new things, combine them with the current knowledge, because this is going to be their source of being able to change. That is the yang water. This is where the clouds ultimately have to come from. And so this is really, really key. They have to keep learning new things. If they're missing the yang earth, they have to become a little more grounded in ideas so that your ideas can have an effect in reality, because the yin water is one of those day masters that can have their heads in the cloud all the time. They just, they're not dealing with reality very well. And so they may have some really cool ideas, but if those ideas are so far out there that they will never be seen in reality and maybe cannot exist in reality, then they're I don't want to say wasting their time, but they're certainly not going to get anything out of that time they have spent unless they can move it towards something that can have an effect in reality. Now, once you know what you need and what you may be missing, you know which Daymaster skills you need to acquire. And this takes real effort, and it's often painful and often makes it feel like you're off doing things that just aren't you. But That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Now, once you learn how to activate that element that you're missing, you don't have to have it activated at all times, just when you're in certain situations. So if you need something at work, when you're at work, you use that skill you've acquired. When you go home, you don't use it at all. It's not part of you. It doesn't really feel part of you either. So it's really easy to give it up. And that's fine. You only need it when the time is right. Now, your desire for success must be strong enough to force yourself to acquire the needed skills. Because if you just wishing for success is not enough, you have to really want it enough to put in the effort. And if you're not going to put in the effort to learn these new skills, well, your life isn't going to change. Now, if you're very lucky, you're not going to be missing anything needed. But if you are still struggling uh, with success, that is, you find I have everything I need. Why am I not more successful? Well, then I think you need to have somebody who's much more knowledgeable than I am, a real, truly professional BATSA analysis. Your childhood may, you might have to understand how your childhood affected you too. And sometime you need some professional help to overcome some traumas that might have happened then. So those are reasons why you might not be able to take advantage of everything in your BATSA. But if you have them, but also if you have the elements, but you're not using the skills, that is also a problem. And you may not realize you need those skills. So this is still useful, even if you are not missing anything. Now, you might find that although you have the required element in the chart, you don't have the associated skill. And this can come from upbringing or life circumstances which did not allow you to exhibit this aspect of your life. But if you have the element there, it's going to be a lot easier for you to learn that skill than someone who doesn't have the element. So this is still, again, useful information. Now, most problems have more than one possible solution. And so this isn't the end all to beat all. Now, oftentimes, at least when it comes to math, one solution, one type of a solution is a lot easier to do. It doesn't mean it's the only one. It just takes you 10 times less time. Uh, but that may not always be the case in real life because I have seen, I've had most experience when it comes to solving problems in math. And I have seen students struggle because they start out on the wrong approach. And I've even seen this by researchers who struggle. So that was very surprising, but it does happen. Now, many elements share the same basic skills like flexibility or adaptability, things like this. And sometimes you only need to activate an existing element in your chart to acquire the skill. Now, although these different elements may have the same basic skills, they don't go about activating those skills in the same manner. They have a different outlook, and so they kind of come at it from a different angle, but the results are the same. So activation, since it may hasn't been really clear, activation simply is trying to apply that element's traits. That is, if you're talking about water, that is adaptable. So if you need water, or even if you have water, but you're for some reason quite set in your ways, you have to apply that trait of being more flexible. That's all it means. Now, at times you may need some extra help to get started because, especially if it's something that you're actually missing, you may need some help to get the ball rolling. And once that's started, you can keep going. but sometimes it's so out of your sphere of knowledge that you don't even know where to start. So I really hope this was useful. Um, I, I really hope that it was also clear enough that, that you can understand it. It is a rather complicated thing, and this was a very long video. So you may have to watch it a couple times. But thanks again for watching.